understand where would who would you? 1 second. To have an Israeli flag in front of 770 on video. It's the thing.
Where was there?
There was in the video. They couldn't cut it off. They couldn't. Yeah. I mean,
What happened? I mean, it's
Rabbi Lau's video that he spoke.
he's rabbi. It's not like.
So I went to graduation yesterday, high school graduation, not here. The girls had graduation, and they sang Hatikva.
Lubavitchers?
No.
Fine, right, okay.
They sang Hatikva and they sang Star Spangled Banner.
Yeah, sure.
And they said Kapitel Tevah.
They said the world.
Okay, let's learn. Yeah, we got to finish the parak. Yeah. Okay.
Even Labor Day parade.
Okay. Hilchos Nezirus parak dal halacha aleph ha'omer hareini nazir. If someone says, "I behold, I'm a nazir," we said stam Nezirus is how long? 30 days. Therefore, he's megaleach the glachas tahara yemech l'shoshim. He's supposed to. Now, when you say I'm a nazir, that day you say it counts as day one, even though it's the middle of the day. So ideally, a person is supposed to wait till the end of the 30th day, and then he should the procedure that we'll learn in the future program about how he shaves brings korbanos. That's ideally done day 31. In Gilach b'yem shloshim. However, if he does it on day 30, yatzah, because again, partial day is considered the entire day, both when the day you start and you finish. Omar, if he says I'm a nazir for 30 days, he specifies clear dafka 30 days. In other words, the day he's in plus 29 full days. In that case, he has to only shave on the 31st day, and he can't do it early. If he does it earlier, then it hacks up his Nezirus. Right, exactly. So halacha beis, misha nazir shtei Nezirus. Person who makes a nezir, he says, "Behold, I'm a nezir for 2 sessions." He does the first one on the 31st day, ideally. And the second one, even on day 61, he doesn't have to wait till day 62, because the 31st day counts for both. If he does the first one on day 30, which b'diavad counts, as we said, then he could do the second one on the 60th day. He doesn't have to wait till day 61. And if he does the second one on day 59, so he does side the first one b'diavad, side the second one, because again, b'diavad the 30th day counts in both directions, even be the evidence both ways. Gimel. If someone says, yeah, okay. Someone says, behold, I'm a Henry Nazir. I accept upon myself a Nezirus vow, which is Tam Shloshim Yom. Then he says, I'm going to be a Nazir in honor of whenever I happen to have a male child. He starts his Nezirus. And then, now, the truth is, I gave an example 3 days. It could be really any time. He says, I'm going to do it for 5 years, let's say. And I'll be a Nazir when my wife has a kid. Whatever the point is, he starts his Nezirus, and then in the middle of his Nezirus, he has a child. He finishes his own personal Nezirus, the one he began. And then he starts the one for his child. Because he first said, I'm a Nazir for this amount of time. Then he said, I'm Nazir for my child. So he does the first one, and then the second one. Omar, if he says, I'm going to be a Nazir in honor of whenever my wife has a son. Then he says the second neder, I'm going to be a Nazir for X amount of days. His Nazir shaloi. Now obviously he first true. So he started counting the other one, the Viola, the which is not for his child. Then in the middle of it he had a child, a son. Placing the Nezir Shaloi, he stops his Nezirus, interrupts it. In other words, he doesn't stop it by doing anything. He just stops the counting, the calculations. Then he starts counting a new Nezirus, a new calculation for his son. And then afterwards, he goes back and finishes his own Nezirus, the one which is not related to his child. They're both like one Nezirus, and over here they're both meaning. We'll see. In other words, it's considered one long connection. He doesn't interrupt them. Normally, if it's a person, I'm going to be a Nazir for 2. Harei Nazir shtei Nezirus. Between the 2, on the 31st day, he has to shave and korbanos to start a new one. Over here, he doesn't do that. Over here, he starts.
Not only doesn't he do that, but he stops his own Nezirus.
But when he stops his own Nezirus to start one for his son, the point, because he's not shaving and bringing korbanos, it's like one long Nezirus. But mainly, if he and over here again, it means the first leg of his regular Nezirus plus the one for his child, not the one he's going to finish afterwards, but the one he started. The party started. The party started plus the Nezirus for his son is one long Nezirus in the sense if he comes to the mace, the whole thing is bottled. Even the one which is a separate counting kaviyachol, but it's one long thing in this regard. Therefore, if he starts, I'm a Nazir for 2 years, and I'm a Nazir for a year when my wife has a child. He starts the Nezirus 1 year, then his wife has a child, then he starts the Nezirus for a year for his son. Middle of that second year for his son, he becomes time mace. He has to start the whole thing from the beginning, and then be a Nazir for his son for a year plus 2 years for his nether. What if he finishes the year, has a son, keeps a year of Nezirus for the son, and then after doing the second year, which is a third year total for his other nether, then he becomes tummy. Right, I'm just giving examples. In that case, it only stops the last year. I'm going to give different numbers in Lachad Dalet, but the point is the same. Now, how when he becomes tummy mace in the third leg, right, in the second half, part 2 of his own Nezirus, how much does it say, sir? How does it demolish? I'm sorry, thank you. How much do you have to, because it was Seiser, because he became a, so there, we said any Seiser right?
No, this is just the flow. The flow.
No. There's a continuation. When he starts the second half of his Nezirus that was interrupted because of his son's Nezirus, how much does he have to finish? My example was a year. So if there's more than a year left of his own personal, the second half of his Nezirus, then he finishes the Nezirus of his son, and then he finishes. Why does he have to count the Nezirus of his son?
Why?
He finished that.
In the middle. No, he didn't finish yet. No, this is talking about the flow.
Okay, so he counts the Nezirus of his son, and then he finishes the days that remain of his personal Nezirus. Right. But then he has to do the whole. Then he has to, after that Nezirus, he has to take a haircut and bring karbanis. However, if his son happened to be born 2 days, let's say less than when his own Nezirus is done, you can't have a Nezirus less than 3 days. So after his son's Nezirus is completed, he has to count the full 3 days. 30 days. 30, yes.
Well, you can't have a Nezirus less than 3 days?
Less than 30.
Less than 30.
Yes, because you can't have between one shaving and another less than 30 days. We said that in the previous program a few times, right? So,
right. So he stops his Nezirus, the first one. He starts the kids. At the end of the kids, he's tiglachas and karbonis, and then he goes back and finishes his. Right,
exactly. He starts his Nezirus, interrupts it in order to keep the Nezirus that he made in honor of a child, finishes that, and then finishes the first one.
So why is it less than 30 days?
No, that's saying the event. Well, look at Lachad Dalet. We'll see. For example, someone says, I'm going to be Nazir when I have a child. And also I'm taking another vow being a Nazir for 100 days. Then he started his 100 days. In the middle of the 100 days, he has a male child. If from his 100 days, there's 30 days remaining, he hasn't yet hit day 70 or day 71 yet. So if there's 30 days or more, once the child is born, he loses no time. So he doesn't have to keep any extra time, in other words. So
when he finishes, he still has to 70 days.
But he doesn't keep anything more than he would otherwise if his son had been born much later.
Days,
right. So therefore, because regardless if his son is right.
His time being a Nazir is 30 days or more.
So therefore,
less than 30 days, then he would have to add to it.
Right. We'll see exactly over here. So in other words, he's going to have to only keep 130 days of Nezirus, however way you catch it. So he stops his Nezirus of 100 days wherever he's holding, day 70 or earlier. And he counts, let's say, the 30 days in honor of his child. And he has to shave. So then he finishes counting the 30 days of Nezirus for his son. And then he completes the other 30 days that remain from his Nezirus, not related to his son. Then he shaves in honor of that Nezirus. However, if there's less than 100 days remaining, then it automatically be counted as if he stopped at 70, even though he got to day 99. Case for example, what if the baby was born on day 80? He kept 80 days. He stops day 80 when the baby is born, counts 30 days. He finishes the 30 days for his son. Shaves and and that whole thing that he does for the son. He counts 30 days after the shaving to finish the first Nezirus. He loses the 10 days he kept. The 10 days before the baby was born don't count.
The 10 more than 70.
Right. In this case, no, it's more than 70. This kid, baby was born day 80.
The baby was born in 80?
Yeah. Ad Sheyavolte was born.
Because you have to have 30 days.
Exactly. So therefore, over here, he's going to end up keeping 100 and
110. 110.
no, 140 total, because he has to keep. He kept 80. He keeps 30 more, which is 110. Keeps 30 more, which is 140. Instead of 130, he keeps 10 more days. So the last 10 days before the baby was born, days 70 to 80, aren't going to help him. Yeah. If someone says, I'm a Nazir after 20 days, and he says, I'm going to be a Nazir from right now, start right now for 100 days. So now he starts 20 days right now, like he said, of his 100. When he interrupts them, he stops counting them, so to speak. Then he starts keeping the first net that he made, which was to keep a Nezirus 20 days from now. After those 3 days are over, so after he finishes his second neder, which was again, he made a neder on Aleph Nisan, let's say, to start Nezirus 20 days from now. So Chaf Nisan, he has to begin the new Nezirus. So he starts the first Nezirus, keeps it for 20 days, stops it, and then keeps his second neder for 30 days. After that 30 days neder are over, he shaves the proper shaving of tahara. Oh, so tlachas tahara, the expression, as opposed to the gachas tumah. When a person, a nazir, becomes tamei mace, he has to shave and do all that, but that's a problematic. That's not because the gachas tahara means he's doing it correctly. When he finishes Nezirus and he takes the haircut as he's supposed to. Or maybe karbanis, because karbanis, then he counts the other 80 days that he kept from, that he still is remaining from his original vow of 100. In order to finish up the 100 that he made the neder, b'seif at the end. Well, it was actually really first, at the end, because remember, he first made a neder that I'm going to keep in Nezirus 20 days from now. Then he made a second neder. I'm going to start in Nezirus right now for 100 days. So that neder, he finishes it off after he finishes the first neder, when and then he shaves and brings kabbanis. So that's how he does these two Nezirus. That's how he does this situation. So a person makes a neder. I'm going to be a Nazir 20 days from now. That neder is chal. The fact he made a neder that I'm keeping Nazir right now for 100 days, that doesn't make it take with the other neder. So he has an obligation to keep both, and therefore this is the way he does it. Now l'chayra, the first Nezirus of 20 days is not 30 days. That has to help him, because since like we said, when you have these two Nezirus back to back, he doesn't stop and shave. He keeps going into another Nezirus. It's not bottle. It's not like a segment. It's mashlim in terms of counting towards a larger number, because he doesn't interrupt it with shaving and being karbonis. You can count the 20 going into the next. Hagam, he shaves later on after the 30, but since he doesn't shave after the first 20, he can continue to the 100. Right, exactly. Zayin. Omer, if he says, he first makes a neder. Well, sorry, same case. That part's the same. He makes a neder. I'm going to be a nazir for 20 days from now. Then he says, I'm a nazir right now. And again, he didn't specify numbers. So how much is stam nazirus? 30 days. The first case was 100. Now it's 30. So he has two obligations now. He has an obligation to keep a nazirus 30 days, which begins 20 days from now. He has a new obligation to keep a nazirus 30 days, which starts today. What does he do? Obviously, the same thing he can't do in the first example, because that's going to chop it smaller than 30. So therefore, he counts 30 full days. And then he shaves a gachas tahara in honor of the second neder, which starts right now. Because if he does that, megachas tahara means the whole procedure. It's implied. And then he counts 30 more days if he had Nezirus, which that Nezirus is the one that he started. He said that he's going to start after 20 days, so he's going to postpone it 10 days in order to finish the first neder. If you say, let me count 20, stop, count 30, and then shave, and then count 10. There's only be 10 days left. You can't have less than 30 days between shavings. Therefore, by definition, it's implied. Now, you'll say, so big deal, tough on him. The guy made a silly guy. Make him count 20, 30, and then 30. Why are you letting him get away with the two 30s? So the answer is that there's an answer there's two answers. One basic answer is that was implied in his neder, but there's a much better teretz. No, but there's a more profound answer that I don't remember off the top of my head. Okay, Amr, if he says, I am a nazir after 20 days from now. Right? 20 more days to drink wine. Chazam, then he says, now I'm a Nazir for all eternity. The first neder is not chalal. He doesn't have to ever stop and keep it. Because once he says I'm a Nazir forever, by definition, from now, it supersedes any other neder that's a time-bound neder. Good. Lachates. If he says, I am a Nezirus of Shimshon after 20 days. Remember, Nezirus Shimshon is it's not a Nezirus. It's another way of saying I am taking a neder that I'm not going to ever again be allowed to drink wine or cut my hair, but I'm allowed to have in contact with the mace, and I can never ever ask for this neder to be a duatora, right? That's what it means, right? So he says I'm going to start that 20 days from now. And then he says, I'm a nazir now for 30 days. This Nezirus that he took to be for 30 days, since it goes into the Nezirus he made to be a Nazir for like Shimshon, which is forever, he doesn't take a haircut for that Nezirus. Even though ultimately, so that Nezirus, it is Chal. It is Chal. It is Chal. Not only is it Chal, but because even though he said Harei Nazir, Nezirus Shimshon, so even though the Nezirus Shimshon means you could have it to pay mace, right? But after saying he's going to be a Nazir for like Shimshon after 20 days from now, I'm a regular Nazir right now, but he never affords himself the opportunity to finish that Nezirus with a formal shaving and kabbanas. He can never become a Tamei Tumei Mace. Because you can only be Tamei Tumei Mace when your neder time is up and you bought your kabbanas. If you didn't get your kabbanas because the churban happened or because you're in China, you can't be Tamei Tumei Mace. So this guy can't do that, can't be Tumei Mace either. All right. Oh, so that's fine. But when someone says Nazir can use Shimshon, he can't. Remember, we said a person says Nazir Shimshon, there's not a Torah. So he's not part of the Chav Kedusha. We said in yesterday's Perek, I think it was, or 2 days ago, that a person who says Nazir Shimshon has no option of a Torah's neder because Shimshon can never do a Torah. Shimshon was a nevuah from the Eibishter. Normally, a person who says let's say I'm a Nazir and I'm making a neder, I'm never going to do a Torah. He first can do a Torah for the second vow, then do a Torah for the first vow. But apparently, when it comes to saying I'm a Nazir like Shimshon, like according to Rambam at least, it's never an option. Okay.
Shimshon type Nazir can never be now because
you can't.
All Thomas Mace.
So any Nazir theory can't be now, but the din is we said yesterday that
the Nazir had in Yerushalayim, the one over there.
I don't know, but a person. No, but a person. Yeah, okay.
In the 50s.
But the point is that a person takes a person. I think there's still such a person. I can find that he worked like 100 pairs of scissors, 50 pairs of scissors. I can find him, but a person who makes a neder nowadays to be a Nazir is mechuyev, and he can't drink wine. He's not allowed to. He's not allowed to. Yeah, sure, yeah.
He can't be.
He can't go basic for us either. Even though Walter age, you can't go. You can't do extra. Yeah. Mi Shabbos, someone who says, halacha. Mi Shabbos, someone who says, behold, I'm a Nazir the day before I pass away. This is interesting. He's never allowed to drink wine or tamesim
Because you could die tomorrow.
Right. Now, l'chayr will ask, by definition, he took a vow of Nezirus that's going to be less than 30 days. So why is it chal? Biased is that even though you took it in that context, the fact is that it's chal unless it's not your job to, whatever. Okay, if I'm upon the din is that he's usher because every day could be, a person should achieve every day for the same reason, right? Okay. The Rebbe says, spin it positively. A person should think every day Mashiach's going to come, and Mashiach comes to be a madin.
That's the next thing.
Oh, that's something else. But someone who says, I am being a Nazir the day Mashiach comes. So whichever day that is, he's a Nazir. And it's from the beginning of the day. The question is, which day is that? Now the Gemara has a suffix, can Mashiach come on Shabbos and Yom Tov? The Gemara is not sure. If he takes neder Sunday through Friday, he's also forever. Starting from when he makes neder until forever, because every day we hope Mashiach will come. If he takes neder on the day of Shabbos Yom Tov itself, which we're not sure halachically if Mashiach can come, that Shabbos Yom Tov he's allowed to drink wine and make a haircut, obviously, but he can drink wine. And afterwards he's also forever. Why? The Gemara is a suffix if Mashiach will come Shabbos Yom Tov. Since the day he made the neder is a suffix, if Mashiach will come today or not, the chal of Nezirus is not chal on that day if he makes it on Shabbos and Yom Tov. The suffix Nezirus were makel.
But how come we're not looking at this total state?
1 second. So if I take a neder on Shabbos and Yontif, then the neder is not chal ami mesafik. But once Sunday comes, or Yontif is over, and the neder is chal, then it's chal lo'ilam. So when next Shabbos comes, it's not removed misafik. The imkamelech going forward, chol of Nezirus does take a place to the person. It's binding. With Shabbos abah he's suffik, and the next Shabbos is also suffik. Ein mifkas Nezirus shechalov. You don't remove the Nezirus misafik. So you don't put it on him misafik. You can't remove misafik. So if you take it Sunday through Friday, if he takes it Sunday through Friday, the Nezirus is chal that day and le'om vod. If he takes it on Shabbos and Yontif, it's not chal that day, but it's chal when the Shabbos and Yontif is over, and then
counting of the 30 is also going to change.
he says I'm a Nazir the day. Oh, you're saying if a Sheikh comes,
How come we're not looking at a statement?
he says,
on Shabbos,
yeah.
so Nezirus starts right after Shabbos. He's not mechuyev on Shabbos mitzvah.
Oh, you're saying that even though
But the counting starts.
he says I'm a Nazir for 30 days, the day Mashiach comes. Now he says it on Shabbos. You're saying does that start the clock of 30 days or not?
Yeah.
How come we're not looking at the whole statement?
So l'chayda, you're asking if I say on Shabbos today I'm a Nazir for 30 days, if the day Mashiach comes, right? I'm a Nazir the day Mashiach comes. So whenever Mashiach comes, that day is the first day of his Nezirus.
No.
That's all.
How come we're not looking at that part of the statement?
We are. What do you mean? The person says I am a
Nazir until Mashiach comes.
Oh, that's in terms of the counting. But if I say I am a Nazir for 1 year, the day Mashiach comes, I'm going to be a Nazir for 1 year from that day forward, for 1 year. When do I start?
But that's not what it's saying.
Whichever day Mashiach comes. But the thing is that it might be today. So and you can't have the zeros on a partial day. So it starts. You can't say it starts that moment. It starts the whole day. Oh, thank you for clarifying that. Yeah.
He's not saying that. He's saying, "Areni Nazir b'yoyim shebein David ba boy."
No.
I will become a Nazir on the day when the son of David comes. So you can't. He's saying that the day Mashiach comes is when I start my Nezirus.
Yeah,
That's
but
what
he
he's
has to
saying.
start the Nezirus.
No, so it's possible to be today.
What do you mean? Did it come?
No,
But it's
you
within-
can't
it's a
have a
finite
Nezirus
statement.
partial day. It has to be a whole day.
It's not put a partial, not partial. What came out of his mouth was what?
That
the
the day
Mashiach comes, that's when I start my Nezirus.
The day Mashiach comes, I start my Nezirus from the beginning of that day.
Right.
Retroactively, it has to be the whole day.
It's like
You can't
dying.
have
It's
Nezirus
like
on a
dying.
partial.
He says the day before I die.
Okay, fine. So let's say the day starts. There's no leftover. He's starting a full 24-hour period. Now,
If he said already Nazir Kishabah Ben David, you'd be right. But he said B'yayim Shem David Baba, right? He said that the day he comes.
No.
And you can't have a Nezirus.
Half a day.
Good, but whatever time of the day David comes, the point is that the Mashiach didn't come yet. So how can it be chal that he's a Nazir?
It's misafik.
Yeah, because it's it.
Since every day might be that day.
No, he doesn't say before he comes.
No, he said.
He does not say. He says.
Let's see it again. Halachit Aleph.
When the
I am very Nazir B'yayim Shem David Baba. The person who says I'm going to be Nazir the day Mashiach comes, which day is that? I have no idea. It might be today, tomorrow. If it's the weekday, Sunday through Friday, he's also the Jew one forever, or he's also forever, because any day could be that day, and he's in other words, when I say I'm a Nazir, when the day Ben David comes, that might be today, and therefore immediately I am mechuyev to keep Nezirus, the suffix.
If you could come today.
The Mishabas and B'yom Tov
the
if he
whole
did.
thing is not based on a suffix. The whole thing is based on a vadai. I mean,
No.
he's saying that since he started, when did he make the statement?
When?
Yeah,
Sometime in the day between.
Sometime in the day. No.
What
So
do you mean when? Anytime. It was
So
not
fine,
a
so
game.
right, but did Mashiach come?
Again, you're making the assumption that his neder is that the moment Mashiach comes, I'm a Nazir.
No.
That's wrong. That's not. That's
not
not
what he's
shot.
saying.
Because you can't say that. You're saying that this part of the day. Now, the truth of the person who says already Nazir is only chai of that moment, right? But he's making him Nezirus chal in an episode. So that day that he comes becomes the whole day because mechuyev to be a Nazir. If he said how many Nazir,
So the whole business here is
now you say a person is already Nazir whenever I win the lottery, or or no, that's not a good example, right? Person already Nazir, right? A person is already Nazir.
The only example.
No, in other words, but the point is when you make Nezirus chal on an episode, right? And you don't know when the episode's going to happen. You entertain the possibility that any day which it may happen, you are mechuyev to keep that whole day as Nezirus because that might be day one. You can't. It just can't be a partial. Can't be a partial
Is
thing.
it 8 days? When this is a day, what do you mean, 8 days?
What?
8 days?
No. So what do you mean? No. The point is that Nezirus, a day of Nezirus has to be a complete day. Yeah.
When is the complete day? From the night before?
No. Starting from the night before Pashtus. But you're asking l'chayda if the neder is dependent on.
No, what you're saying is this is very clear.
Yeah.
That you have to be from then on.
Right. A person says I'll be a nazir. The guy who says I'll be a nazir the day my wife has a boy. Yeah. No, because here he says kishiyili ben. Over here he said b'yem shdav. But the chayda I think the word is b'yem shabam dav. So he's taking the neder based on the fact that that's the whole day. If he says Arei Nazir Kashi, in other words, if he says the guy who said Arei Nazir Kashili Ben Zachar, right? So do you say any time his wife is in past the 6th month, he's chayav to keep Nazirus because it might happen that day. Maybe if he says Arei Nazir B'Yom Shili Ben Zachar, you would say the same thing. I don't know. I think that's the verse. I mean, the point is a good point because the Chayri is making totally in Mashiach and Mashiach didn't come yet, right? But the Chayra,
you have to be ready at that moment.
Yeah. Yeah, but Vaista is that when you say the Yemish David Babai, you're mechuyev to keep that day he comes as day one of Nezirus, and that you're mechuyev to make sure that whole day, it's the din is chal the whole entire day. From the beginning of the day.
Right when he makes the neder.
Find me a time of the year when you're not in the beginning, you're not in the middle of a possible day. You're always in the middle of a possible day, whether it's Aleph, Beis, Gimel,
All
Dalet.
these cases are depending on a.
If he says relation biyoyim, that's the chayda vart. If he says biyoyim, I think that's the vart. Right? Yudbeis. Nazir Shama Yemen is Yosef Halach Yudbeis. A Nazir who finished the days of his Nezirus, he didn't yet do the proper shaving, and which concludes the kabbanis, the whole procedure. He lives in who knows where. Or there's actually the Nezirus ideally is in Israel, so he lives far and then he can't travel, he's sick or whatever. But he's also like he's not allowed to shave, take a haircut. I keep saying shave, that's the touch galech, but it means obviously take a haircut. He's also to take a haircut, to drink wine. Even when a Nazir would do the haircut, he would shave his whole entire body. But no, nothing to tzaras.
No, but I'm saying the whole thing of shaving the body, that you do that, a person that's...
A Nazir shaves his entire body, I'm pretty sure, if I recall correctly. Looking at halacha.
So it doesn't include the beard then.
No, there it does, I'm saying, but the fact that he's not allowed to shave his beard, he'll do it with the Nezirus, because that's matter, obviously. So Nazir finishes the Nezirus, he did not do the whole procedure of taking a haircut and bring karbanis. But he's also like not mine was what, 905 or 9? So he's now allowed to drink wine. He's now allowed to be Talmud Mason like he was before. The Chod, the Nezirus, all the details of Nezirus he's bound by. If he does drink wine or he's Talmud Mason, he's Chayav Malchus, even though his time of Nezirus is up. There's someone who made a neder be Nazir, and he thinks the neder doesn't count because he made a mistake. He thinks that the din is that it doesn't count. And he was treating himself as if he never made a neder. He was drinking wine. Afterwards, it turns out the Chacham tells him, "You're making a mistake. You are chayav to be Nazir." He has to make a neder from the moment that he took the neder. He has to go backtrack and count again. So if he takes a neder for a year. So let's say for example, it takes for 30 days. So the first 15 days he's doing what he wants, and he finds out he's a chayav in Nezirus. He has to count 30 days. He starts 30 days from the beginning and count 30 full days of keeping it properly. But when he has the shaila, when he made the neder, the first 15 days that he was treating the Nezirus irrelevantly, he has to go keep those again.
Go back.
I'm sorry. He has to now go backtrack. How many days do I have left when I made neder? I have 15 days left. So therefore I have to keep 15 more days, because even though the first 15 days I didn't do it properly, so that's his avera, but he has to keep the last 15 days correctly at least. There is no. That he has to keep the first days that he was not keeping properly, and make up for that, so to speak. Case of example. If he made that there, he's going to be another for 30 days, and the first 10 days he was doing what he wants. Then the last 20 days he was keeping it properly. And after 30 days he asked the Chacham, and it's basically. Yeah, I said to the Chacham, the first 10 days I didn't keep it seriously, but the last 20 days, it happened to be that I did. I didn't take a haircut. I wasn't drinking wine because I was going to AA, and I didn't have a barber around, and there's no basic forest. I did what I was supposed to, technically speaking. But also,
it wasn't my kavanah though.
Let's say I'm just going to making a practical example. But also, the Chacham tells him, "Hey, listen, Buster. The first 10 days you were supposed to do all these things and you didn't. He should keep 10 more days. Now a total of 30. In order to keep the Nezirus Mashlam.
What if your example? He did keep it.
The last 20, not the first 10, though. So he has to keep the first 10 correctly after the last 20, and keep 30 days total. The last 10 days, if he does anything he's not supposed to, he's chayav malchus rabbanon. We said that if he does any of these things he's not supposed to, he's chayav malchus because he didn't reach kabbanis yet. A good question. So Pashas was Zagin that he brought his kabbanis everything, and then asked the shaila. Okay, Akasha. Tezvav. When do we see all this Nezirus? If it's a short period of time. Obviously, if it's a long period of time. As long as he keeps 30 full days, that's a good enough of a punishment. Even though he transgressed the Nezirus for a long time. If he didn't know Israel at all, in his kakalei klal, we don't associate ourselves with him. We don't help him with the process of finish mata the neder. Yeah. Right, thank you. That's a you in the parentheses or something. Okay, okay. So for example, if he for a whole year he's not doing the right thing, and then he finds out it was a mistake, so he keeps 30 days. That's sufficient. He doesn't have to keep a whole year. That's Zayin. Kol beis is created by any person who does help this guy and tries to be makel with him. They inform the people who are not careful with the nedarim. Like for example, other people who take the nedarim. We said other examples in the previous halacha. It's nedarim where the guy takes neder, and it's not really chal, but we try to show him it's serious and we show him be matter for him. But if any bezin that tells people, listen, it's not a problem, don't worry, or they're makel for them, or they immediately teach them a way to be matter the neder. Without properly impressing upon them the importance of the neder. Based in a hedget. That's super simplistic bezdin, that silly bezdin that you could put him in cheder. Some people attach this as even a bezdin hedget, a simple bezdin, can put that other bezdin, which is chashav bezdin, in cheder. Yudzayin. Isha, a woman who says she not driven Nezirus. She made a neder regarding Nezirus. V'shamo, you made a Nezirus, and she finished the time frame. Heavy kabbanis says she brought a kabbanis. One of the three kabbanis she brings. There's three kabbanis she brings. One of them was shechted. V'nizrak dama, and its blood of one of the kabbanis at least was spread in the mizbeach. V'achal kach shama ba'ila. And her husband hears about this. He was out of town. He comes back. What's going on over here? Alf mishadayim legil chayv. She did not take the haircut yet. Eli nachal hafer. Once the zrika saddam is done, one of the kabbanis, he can't do alfara, and she goes through the process. Now, why would he do that? He doesn't want to shave her head balls. It looks ugly. If before the Zrika he finds out about it, then he could do afara, and then she doesn't have to. The nether is bottled, and she doesn't have to finish the process. But Medvam is by the Gemara. He says that's what I just said. It wasn't not a joke. The Medvam Amurim. When do we say all this? That the husband can't do afara because the Zrika happened. The Dlachas Tahara when she's shaving because she finished the process. Out Dlachas Tuma if she's shaving and doing the kabbanis because she went to the cemetery. For the Hafara is he could be made for Avpisha Kabbanis Shal Dlachas Tuma even though he bought the kabbanis. He had dying Shrichel and Nezirus Acheres because since it's kabbanis of Tuma, she has to finish the time frame by counting the whole thing again, right? Because it's the whole thing, and therefore the neder is still in the middle of happening. He gets in before Lach and the whole thing falls away. Okay.
I don't know how they do it.